Hello, so this is a review of WWF Superstars from February the 29th, 1992. So the opening match was El Matador versus Brian Elmore. El Matador obviously being a former Intercontinental champion, and he got the win with the De La Murtois. And yeah, he got the pin. Next match was Dan Richter versus the Repo Man, and the Repo Man won this with a leg grapevine, so he made Mr. Richter tap out, as they say now these days. Sauce. So during, or just before this match, they had a World Wrestling Federation update with Mean Gene Oken, my guest in this time. And they finally admitted that they've got brand new World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions. In reality, those have been Tag Team Champions for 3 weeks and 1 day. But yeah, they finally announced that Ted DiBiase and Owen R. Shyster have won the Tag Team titles. So this is how they played it out on the storyline side of it. Because in reality, Hawk went into rehab, but in real terms, Jimmy Hart went and said that the Disaster should be pulled out the match because it wouldn't be fair on Legion of Doom because Hawk had a hip injury, and so they should be replaced. And he replaced them with Ted DiBiase and Owen Shyster, who now go by the moniker of Money Incorporated. The next match was Owen Hart and Jim Neidhart, the New Foundation, taking on Todd Overbo and Chris Germany. This match didn't go very long, and Owen Hart got the pin after having the rocket launcher, and this was the final appearance for the New Foundation. As I've told on previous videos, Jim Neidhart had been fired a few weeks earlier. He was also taken out of the, bizarrely, he was taken out of the opening credits, which, that's not the bizarre bit. The bizarre bit is that he was in the match after he wasn't in the credits, so here we are. Next match was Papa Shango versus Larry Williams. Papa Shango won this with pin with a reverse shoulder breaker. And then he did his chanting and said that he'd open the gate. Next match was Texas Tornado versus Kato, and Texas Tornado won this in about 40 seconds. Seriously, he did like the tornado twist punch thing, and he won. So there we are. And after this, there was the funeral parlor, which I'll go on to in a minute. The main event in the ring was Sergeant Slaughter and Jim Duggan taking on Rudy Gonzalez and Dale Wolf, and Sergeant Slaughter and Jim Duggan won with the Irish Whip clothesline finisher. But yeah, that was that. So the big thing, apart from obviously Jim Neidhart being released and I'm talking about Money Incorporated becoming the Tag Team Champions. The big thing on this was the funeral parlour. And the funeral parlour was Paul Bearer interviewing his guest at this time. I tell you, Mean Gene. Jake the Snake Roberts. And Jake came out and didn't say anything for a couple of minutes. Then Paul Bearer, and they showed clips of what he did at SummerSlam in 91, where he gate crashed, or him and Taker gate crashed at reception for Savage and Miss Elizabeth's wedding. Still called her Miss Elizabeth when she got married. Bizarre. You'd think it'd be Mrs. Elizabeth, wouldn't you? But no, they always called her Miss Elizabeth. Strange. But yeah, and Snake came out, and then they showed a bit from, I think it was on the Superstars, where Randy Savage got bit by the Cobra, and to this day it still tends to shiver down my spine. Don't know about anybody else. And then they showed the Tuesday in Texas, where the match Jake the Snake Roberts slapped Miss Elizabeth. The heinous act that was. And then finally, after that Saturday night's main event a few weeks ago, Jake Roberts was and they showed that bit where he was going to hit either Savage or Elizabeth over the head with a chair, but Undertaker stopped him. So, back in the funeral parlour, Jake was asking what side is the Undertaker on. I want to speak to the Undertaker. And then his music hit and he didn't appear, and then he walked out of a coffin behind Paul Bearer. And then, he didn't say anything. He looked at the urn, and Jake Roberts said, "Whose side are you on?" He looked at the urn, he looked at Jake, and he said, "Not yours." So there. Yes, that is what happened there, but it didn't end there. No. So, Jake stole his urn. First of many times that the Undertaker's urn was stolen by opponents. And then he went to get it, and Jake slammed the casket on Undertaker's hand. And he was trying to get out of it. In the meantime, Jake then decided it would be good karma to DDT Paul Bearer. That's what he thought would be good. And then he was going home and he was hitting him. He hit him with a chair. He hit him in punches. And Taker just kept getting back up. And then Jake went again and hit him with a chair and tried to speak. And the Taker got up again. And then he went, no. And then he went and he attacked him again. And then Taker couldn't get his hand out the casket. So ingenious this is that he was this clever that he pulled the casket as he was walking along, stalking Jake the Snake Roberts. Now the question is, what does this mean for Jake the Snake Roberts? Fate is calling his name. Beware of the dark side. And that was WWF Superstars on February the 29th, 1992. Brother, I will see you all at ringside. Good evening.